Welcome to the Wokest Warren, where we have the wokest discourse. I've been thinking the past couple days, ever since I made that video about why we should not go to war with Venezuela, and coming up with realistic, common sense, non-Marxist arguments. Why you don't have to agree with me about Marxism at all. In fact, you can just be a conservative. That's fine. It's still a very bad idea to go to war with Venezuela. Okay, so, I was talking with my dad about Trump and Stephen Miller suggesting that they're going to invade Cuba. And whether they invade Cuba or not, it's going to be like a big, big, big problem for Cuba if Venezuela isn't going to export oil to them. Because Cuba is also under a trade embargo. So I'm having this conversation with my dad, and he's like, well, if you don't run your country right, you deserve to get it taken over. And I'm just like, first of all, that's crazy. And secondly, mind your own business, I guess. Seriously, the embargo on Venezuela is if you live next door to your neighbor, and every time your neighbor ordered a pizza delivery or DoorDash, you ran outside and were like, no, you can't deliver that here. No. And you got some of your friends and put a fucking picket line in front of your neighbor's house so they couldn't get any fucking Amazon. They couldn't get their mail. You just, why the fuck do you do that? Why? Can't you just let your neighbor live their fucking life? Don't you have better shit to do with your time? Certainly you must have something better to do with your time. No, but gotta put a fucking embargo on Cuba, gotta put a fucking embargo on in Venezuela. And, my dad was talking about how bad the conditions are in his mind in Cuba. Because he sees about Cuba is from PBS and the propaganda and the news, and he's like National Geographic magazine, and he's like, wow, with an oil embargo, people in Cuba won't even be able to drive their cannibalized 1950s cars anymore. They won't have any cars at all. They'll have to ride bicycles around in Korea. Which, forgive me if that's not describing Korea at all, which it doesn't sound like it's describing Korea at all. But you gotta remember, my dad's almost 80 years old and he's never even been to Korea. So I was like, yeah, it's gonna be really, really bad for Cuba, and I would hope that they would be able to use donkeys. Right? In an oil crisis. Because Cuba's been through crisis before when the Soviet Union collapsed. And the whole country went through hard times, but everybody came together and worked together and sacrificed, and everybody made it through. And I just want you to listen to that. People in Cuba care about each other. And they're doing their own thing. I don't understand why you, as just a person, I understand why the United States has a problem with that, because it's a capitalist, imperialist country. But I don't understand how you, as John Q. Public, living in Warren, Ohio, think that these embargoes are fair or reasonable, because they're not. And so what's happened over the years in Venezuela is they didn't have money, so they didn't have any money to invest in their infrastructure. So their oil fields kind of fell apart. And now Trump is like, well, you didn't run your oil fields right. So we're going to take it over because the world needs this oil. And it's like, they would have had the money if you would have put a damn embargo on them. Like, you planned this shit from the beginning. You know, like, if you put a picket line in front of your neighbor's fucking house so they can't get their Amazon, like, are you, like, what do you expect them to do? I don't understand. So anyway, yeah. Another reason why the United States should not try to make Venezuela a colony or invade Venezuela is, I'll tell you what, like, you can do a special forces mission. Like, our special forces are very well trained and they really have their shit together. So you can do a special forces mission and it be successful. But, you know, I heard a phrase once that special forces are not made, they're born. In other words, it takes a certain type of person to be successful in that job. And there aren't that many people who have that talent to that level. And, you know, it's a very stressful job. It's not like you can do it for any length of time. So it's like, you know, a massive amount of training for a very small number of people that work for a very short period of time in doing very intense work. Okay? So what I'm saying is, if you want to take over, like, all of Venezuela, including the oil fields, it's not going to be like a special forces mission. It's going to be like, you're going to have to march on that country with 250,000 troops. And they're going to occupy that country. And you know what? That country doesn't want those troops there. So you know what's going to happen? It's going to be a guerrilla war. And if you thought Vietnam was going to be a walk in the park, that's the same thing with Venezuela. Because the Venezuelan people are not going to put up with it any more than the people in Vietnam put up with it. And yeah, you know what? You can kill 90% of them, but the 10% that are left are certainly hell not going to be colonized. Sorry, I just like felt a little Nina Turner there for a minute. So, you know, third, like, don't you have something better to do with your time as a conservative? Like, as a conservative, wouldn't you rather sit inside your warm, toasty house, watching television, you know, maybe getting your own DoorDash and just enjoying your life? Like, how about that? How about if everyone in the United States tried to, like, enjoy their life a little bit more? And, like, stop trying to, like, fuck over their neighbors so hard. Because, like, you get what is coming to you. What goes around comes around. Like, we, and I say we as an American because I am an American, we cannot continue to do this to all of the countries in the global south and expect there isn't going to be any backlash. Like, it may not happen this week, it may not happen this month, but it is coming. And I am scared. Like, I don't want that. I don't want my house to get bombed. I don't want to get occupied by a foreign country. I don't want there to be an embargo in the United States. But, like, Russia's not fucking around, and China's not fucking around, and Iran is not fucking around. Thanks for listening.